Hello. If you're watching this, you're probably interested in participating in the AIR Secondary Coaching Project. We're excited that you're interested in participating. I'm Nikki Croasdale from Teachstone, and I'm here with my colleague Anna Savitsky. And first, we're going to be giving you an introduction to the My Teaching Partner Secondary Coaching Program. So first, let's talk about what influences learning. So there are two categories of elements that we know that influence learning. The first is structure. So this is the more obvious, the what, the who, and the where. So it's things like curriculum, content standards, materials and classroom environment, and then teacher training and education. The second piece that's a little more complicated is the process. So it's the how. It's how activities are implemented. It's the interactions occurring between the teachers and students and among the students in the classroom, and the relationships in the classroom. And so we know that both of these are critical for student outcomes, for student learning and development, but the structure category flows through the process category. So what we mean by that is that, for example, you can have the most amazing curriculum in the world, but it's only going to be as effective as the teacher's implementation of it. So this process piece, the implementation, the interactions, and the relationships are really crucial for student outcomes, and that's where we're focused. And when we say that student outcomes are impacted, we mean student outcomes across the board. So that's academic outcomes, math and literacy gains, social emotional gains, as well as cognitive gains. So all across the board, students are impacted in positive ways by the effective interactions that they're having with teachers in the classroom. And you might ask, what kinds of interactions are you talking about? What are you looking at here? So we're looking at interactions that are defined and measured by the CLASS tool, which is the tool that captures three buckets or categories of effective interactions: emotional support, which is looking at the positive environment that the teacher has set up in the classroom, the relationships that she has with the students or he; teacher sensitivity, which is looking at the awareness and responsiveness of the teacher to the students' needs, the way that the teacher emphasizes students' interests and points of view and encourages independence and choice in the classroom. Then the second category is classroom organization. So the way that the teacher manages behavior, time, and attention, as well as engagement. And then instructional support, the way that the teacher encourages a cohesive, comprehensive understanding of concepts and facts, really pushes higher level thinking skills, provides feedback and scaffolding to deepen understanding and learning, and promotes discussions and conversations that deepen understanding of content. And so the bad news is we know that students are not consistently exposed to these types of high-level interactions, but the good news is we know that teachers can improve their interactions in the classroom. And one of the ways that they can do this is through My Teaching Partner. So My Teaching Partner is a one-on-one intensive coaching model. It's research-based, so it's based around this CLASS tool, which we've talked about is validated and is shown to drive student outcomes. It's relationship-based, so that trust and bond and relationship that's formed between the coach and teacher is what forms the foundation for the learning that occurs through the coaching. It's video-based, so it's rooted in the teacher's actual practice. So they're able to watch video of themselves in the classroom and become more aware of and analyze their own teaching behaviors. And then also it's strengths-based. So we know that teachers, many teachers are engaging in effective interactions in one way or another in the classroom. And so this model helps to bring their awareness to the moments when that is happening and enhance and make more consistent those effective interactions. And so research, particularly randomized controlled trials, show that MTP-S works. So we see gains in student achievement equivalent to the average student moving from the 50th to the 59th percentile in standardized test scores, so a huge jump there. We see self-reported improved peer relationships. So that social emotional component, fewer exclusionary disciplinary practices, especially for African American students. So this is because of the support that the teacher is receiving from the coach, that allows the teacher to really be more in tune with student needs and engage students in ways that are meaningful to them as adolescents, which makes disciplinary action less necessary. And then we also see greater student engagement. And we all know that when students are engaged, when they're interested, when they're excited about what's happening in the classroom, they are going to learn more. So now I'm going to pass it over to Anna. She's going to tell you about the My Teaching Partner coaching cycle.
Thanks, Nikki. So I'm Anna Savitsky. I'm a coach specialist with Teachstone, which means that I support the amazing coaches who work across districts like yours, providing my teaching partner or MTP coaching support to teachers. Prior to this, I was a teacher myself in both elementary and secondary. Then I was a school-based coach before I moved into being a district-wide coach, and then ultimately going into an administrator role, leading school culture and climate efforts in Jacksonville, Florida. And then I found Teachstone and my teaching partner and was really excited about the opportunity to provide coaching and support around those classroom interactions like Nikki just described. So Nikki just talked about the results in previous studies of the My Teaching Partner, or MTP, I'll use those interchangeably, coaching cycles. And I want to dig a little bit deeper into what those look like, because you're probably wondering now, well, this sounds great, but what is it, or how does it work? So what you see on the screen now is an example of the graphic rather for My Teaching Partner MTP coaching cycle. It's a 5-step cycle, and this is a standardized model. What makes that so wonderful when we think about scaling is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel when you're talking about doing this with 5 teachers, 50 teachers, or 500 teachers. It's the same model that can be scaled up and has been proven effective with those results that Nikki just shared. So the model always starts with the teacher recording a video of their classroom. This is done using an iPod, so it's not intrusive. Nobody has to come into the classroom to capture this recording. The teacher does it themselves. And the teacher is recording 30 minutes of classroom interactions that were previously discussed and planned for with their coach. So this will make more sense once I've talked through the whole model. But the nice thing here to know is this isn't a surprise. The teacher knows when they're recording, and the teacher has choice and voice in when it's actually happening and what those interactions look like. So the teacher goes over to the iPod, clicks record, and then when it's over, clicks upload. And that 30-minute video then uploads to a password-protected portal where only that teacher and their coach are able to actually watch or are able to view the video rather. So that's step 1. And then it moves into step 2, where the coach then has that 30-minute video and the coach watches the entire 30 minutes looking for 3 roughly minute-long segments. And like Nikki said, this is strengths-based. So the coach is actually looking for 3 effective interactions to highlight. And so what that means, is that whatever the coach and teacher had previously planned for, whatever those interactions were, the coach is now watching with a specific eye for where is this going well. We can see the teacher doing something effective, we can see the students responding positively, and we can see it having an impact on content learning. Something important to note is that MTP is content and curriculum adaptive. So it can be used with any curriculum that you're using. The MTP coach won't be planning with the teacher to implement or change the curriculum they have. They're just talking about, like Nikki said, that process, how best to implement what they already have in the most effective way. So the coach is watching that video with that lens. They select those 3-minute-long clips of effectiveness, and then they provide brief written feedback that we call prompts. This is where the coach is highlighting something the teacher did well, and then asking the teacher an observation level question about what specifically they did or said that was effective, how students responded. And this is all really intended to support the teacher in developing their self-observation skills. So then in step 3, the teacher then gets those clips and those prompts in that portal, and they can then log in and take about 10 to 15 minutes to watch those 3-minute-long segments and respond to the written prompts for each. The teacher then responds in writing as well. So we're getting to tap into this modality where the teachers, or modalities where the teacher's getting to watch themselves and then provide written reflections on what they observed. Following the exchange of this written feedback between the teacher and coach then meet for a 30-minute conference. This can be in person since your coaches will be in your district. This can also be remotely. A lot of times previously in some of the previous studies, it was focused on remote coaching, something like we're doing right now where the teacher and coach met via Zoom or Skype. And so the teacher and coach meet, and during that 30 minutes, they dig deeper into the written feedback. They push beyond that observation level to more of an analysis of those interactions from the classroom, really unpacking what made them so effective. And then they plan for how to keep building those habits. This went really well in this video. How do we make sure this is consistent throughout? They also use this time to plan for the upcoming cycle. So they identify areas that the teacher still wants to grow in, areas that the coach noticed their strengths could be leveraged in, and they start planning for what that will look like in the next recording, how the teacher is planning to practice it in the meantime. Following that 30-minute conference, the coach sends an email with the summary and action plan. The summary is a recap of the conversation from the conference, and the action plan includes something for the teacher to read, watch, and do. Again, these are brief. So the read, watch, and do we expect will only take another 10 to 15 minutes from the teacher. The read is always a resource from a written resource guide that we provide the teachers with, aligned to whatever their next area of focus is. The watch are videos from our video library where the teacher can see other teachers, not from their district, but teachers who have shared videos previously for this resource bank, who are practicing whatever those skills are that the teacher is looking to practice next. These aren't meant to be perfect exemplars, but just examples that a teacher can see of, oh, that's one way that could look. And then the do are the specific look-fors that are the observable ways the teacher is going to practice whatever the skills are that they plan for the next cycle. This is meant to be really low lift for the teacher. So the do items will be all about how to embed these skills. If the teacher's talking about, incorporating more peer dialogue in their classroom, it's going to be how to do that in the context of the lesson they already have planned. The goal of this is not that the teacher should have to plan something totally new for this, but is finding those opportunities that already exist day to day. So the summary and action plan gets sent, the teacher reviews that, and then a couple days later they re-record. So from that first teacher recording to the second teacher recording, and everyone thereafter, it should be about 2 weeks, which means this cycle takes 2 weeks and is repeated 10 times throughout the year, and for this project, 2 years. So they'll do 10 cycles each year for a total of 20 cycles. So if the teacher records, on Monday, 2 Mondays later, they're probably going to be recording again. That kind of frequency of the cycles is something that teachers share is really helpful for them to have that regular ongoing strengths-based time with a coach where they're getting to look at what worked really well in their classroom and how best to leverage their strengths to move forward in areas so they're feeling a little bit more motivated in areas that maybe are a little bit more of a risk for them to take or maybe a little more challenging or something they haven't had as much success with in the past. They get to see themselves being successful and build their self-efficacy, which is really powerful. So this is the MTP coaching cycle. And next we're going to talk about what the support looks like for coaches to be able to implement this cycle effectively.